And welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, May 24th, 2014. This is Season 8, Episode 21. I'm Scott.
I'm James.
I'm RJ.
And I'm Nathan.
Welcome to the show, everybody. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. You can check out ingamechat.net for all the links to get in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter at InGameChat as well as over on Facebook. You can email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. We are streaming the can feed right now through Twitch. Head over to twitch.tv. You can find us there. Just search for In-Game Chat. Or, hey, we discovered that they have a category for stuff like this. Gaming talk shows. You can find us there. I'm sure if you went to the live page for gaming talk shows, this would be the only one you would find. So, yeah, you can find us that way as well. And you can jump in the chat room and chat with us live while we broadcast. I'm going to look at the chat room real quick, see who we've got in there as it comes up. Let's see, Cavalier UK, he's in there, says good morning. Hey, good morning, Cavalier. Lavos is in there somewhere. Medusa's Mirror is hanging out. Also, Stufu, and we've got W. Matthew and Zufu hanging out in the chat room. So thanks, everybody. Go over to the chat room a little bit later on, see who shows up, and see who decided to leave. Before we get started today, I wanted to let everybody know that the Retro Game Planet in Prattville is having another tournament. It is going on tonight. Let me look here. You can register by 7:15, which means you've got an hour and about 15 minutes to go over there and get registered. The tournament starts at 7:30, and it is it's Smash Brothers Melee tournament on GameCube that they're going to be playing. The rules for the tournament are: no items, one-on-one, 4 lives, neutral stages, all characters are selectable. The final match, which would be the last 2 people in the tournament, is a best 2 out of 3 match. The winner gets $150 of store credit inside Retro Game Planet. Second place receives $75 credit, and third place receives $50 credit. Let me tell you, in a retro game store, that's a lot of games that you can pick up, even in third place. For $50, $150, you can almost pick up. You can get the Retron 3.
But I can't buy that copy of Tronbon.
No, you can't. That puts a little. That puts a little bit. That puts a down payment on Tronbon.
Right.
If you'd like that, that will get you that really beautiful Link to the Past.
That original boxed copy of Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo.
And $50 to buy a Super Nintendo. So yeah, that's some good stuff. Again, register by 7:15. Tournament starts at 7:30. The buy-in is $10 or more with a Retro Game Planet receipt within the last 2 weeks. So there you go. They're going to start that. We'll give them a call probably around I don't know, middle of the show, 7:30, and or maybe closer to the end of the show, and see how everything's going with the tournament. So that's Retro Game Planet in Prattville for the local folks, if you would like to go and check that out. So, the other thing I noticed was just before we started in the chat room, W. Matthew was in there saying that apparently Wolfenstein turned out to be a good game. That was supposing since it showed badly last year, but I will be buying Transistor soon. Says he's skipping Wolfenstein. I was not on the Wolf boat.
Have you ever been on a Wolf boat? Ever?
I mean, any of the various Wolfensteins.
Just Wolf 3D, that very first one that was shareware and everything else. That was because that was my introduction to it, man. To PC gaming.
I think the only one I ever played was on the Game Boy Advance. That was the only Wolfenstein I ever played.
And I did seek out the.
There was a Wolfenstein on the GBA.
The old one. The oldest Wolfenstein.
Oh, you mean like there was like a release of Wolf 3D
or something like that?
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I mean it was on the various arcades. It was on its Texas Instruments calculators.
Yeah.
It's been on
and I
everything.
played, what was it, 2 other sequels, Spear of Destiny or was Spear of Destiny the only sequel that they did?
What are you talking about? To that?
Yeah.
Oh, and you don't know? I don't remember. I don't know the exact and the
Spear of Destiny was one of them, and I thought there was another one, but there may not be. They did another one on the Xbox console, not the Xbox 360, but the Xbox Return to
Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Yeah, was that? I'm trying to think if that was the Xbox or the 3. No, that was regular Xbox.
No, that would have been on the regular Xbox.
It
It was
was.
released on more prominently and more importantly was released on the PC. Had fantastic multiplayer, and it's the mod to that which led to Enemy Territory, which I know it doesn't matter to you,
Yeah.
but Wolfenstein Enemy Territory was a one of the better multiplayer experiences, online multiplayer experiences to come out of the last 15 years, actually. That was a good game in its own right, as a matter of fact. I think the last Wolfenstein we had, though, what was that one done by Raven, right? Remember, this one was like on the 360. This one was maybe 3-4 years ago.
I know Nathan's on it right now.
But it was done by Raven Softworks.
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 years ago.
What was the name of
PS3
that
as
one?
well, right?
Just Wolfenstein.
Oh, okay.
That was on PS3 as well, right?
Yes.
PS3, Xbox, and PC. Yes.
Okay.
It was, I guess, all right. It wasn't very good at all, I don't think, and it really tried to stray an awful lot from what people would consider to be the Wolfenstein formula. And Zufo in the chat room actually does make a good point, is that Wolfenstein was tainted by the World War II overexposure from the mid-aughts.
Yeah.
That entire period of time when Call of Duty and everyone else was trying to do some kind of World War II set shooter.
Yeah.
And Wolfenstein must necessarily be set in some variation of the Second World War because Nazis. And if you're not killing Nazis in Wolfenstein, then you're not Wolfenstein. And so there you go. Yeah, it did drag it down somewhat. But I suppose the point is we hadn't really expected the new one to be good at all. Mediocre, midland, kind of is what we would have expected. And apparently it's a real... I don't know if faithful is right, but it feels like a return to form. It feels like a really straightforward game that doesn't take itself too seriously too often, but takes itself seriously enough that you aren't completely eye-rolling at the story. It's got good set pieces. It's got great music. It's got really, really fun shooty bangs. It's got no multiplayer to be a divisive piece of the mixture so that people wonder, well, maybe if you'd spent more time on the multiplayer, that's what it'd be about, or maybe if you'd spent less time, the single player would be better.
Did the one from Raven have it in there?
I don't know.
I know that Return did because it was...
Return did. It had one of the...
It had single player and multiplayer.
Yeah,
Okay.
So.
Now, Return was fantastic. Like I said, Return... Even the multiplayer for Return to Castle Wolfenstein, even in its own right, was... I've told stories about it. I know that I have because I told you about how it grossed me out. It's an old game. This is like 2001, maybe 2002. But people getting like firebombed out in the middle of
Did it come out before? No, if it was on Xbox, then we're talking 2005 because it had Xbox Live capability.
No, man. No. Return to Castle Wolfenstein did not come out in 2005. There's no way it came out that long ago.
I'm gonna look to Nathan until he tells us.
It doesn't really matter.
That one came out in 2001.
You're wrong. I'm wrong.
Then obviously they ported. I guess they.
But it's come out it's come out since Tuple. There's like a bunch of different versions been coming out.
Well, see, now you're talking about Wolfenstein.
Yeah, really.
There's a bunch of different versions,
and
the versioning makes essentially no sense.
Well, no, this is Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
On the Xbox.
Well, it came out in Microsoft 2001, then Linux 2002, Mac, and then Xbox in 2003, and then PlayStation 2 in late 2003, and then Steam in 2007.
Interesting.
So it's come out like 12 times.
Oh, it is a great game.
Okay.
The multiplayer in
I
its
heard
own
they're
right was
porting
really
it
fun.
to next gen now.
No doubt they are. Do a complete roll up of every iteration of Wolfenstein that's ever been done. But really, the whole point being, this one, everybody had essentially not even braced themselves. People were just like turning away from it, saying, I don't know. It's Wolfenstein. It's got no multiplayer. It doesn't look, it's not showy. It's not very flashy. It's not really trying to do anything particularly clever or interesting. It's just, I don't know. And who could possibly care about anybody doing something simple and straightforward and doing it well? And it turns out we all do, as a matter of fact. And it looks like it looks like a good time.
It does.
No multiplayer. The stealth and the straightforward action apparently work really, really well, depending on which way you want to go. And neither one is terribly restrictive. And it's a good 15 to 20 hours worth of gameplay, which isn't all that common in a straightforward shooter anymore. So, I don't know. I sort of regret not putting the money aside for it at this point.
I'm the same way. I regret not putting it in my GameFly queue. I regret
As if they'd send it to you anyway.
Right, exactly. At that point, no, because then it would have crowded my stuff up for trying to get
Right.
Watch Dogs in.
Put something that you don't want in your GameFly queue, like that. Like that, it's out the door, it's on the way. But they can smell how badly you want to play something like that if you
You're
put
gonna
it in
hold
there.
off.
No.
Sure, you don't want to take advantage of our pre-order and just
Yeah.
buy it.
Sure you don't want to rent a DVD?
Oh man, I was on the site and I clicked on coming soon, and it's like there were no games coming soon. It
No.
was nothing but DVDs and Blu-rays, and I was, what? No. So yeah, really looking forward to that, and of course we got Watch Dogs coming out here in just a bit. Tuesday?
Yeah. That's apparently out there though.
It is.
It's
People
it's in the wild. It's in the it's on the high seas, I guess you could say. It's been pirated apparently in a number of places. It's showing up on the consoles, new and old.
Yeah.
So
apparently we got a caller, which is great. If you would like to be a caller, you can. 334-272-9228. Here is Zufu on the phone with us right now. Zufu, hey.
Hey guys, how's it going?
good. How are
Good.
you?
How you doing, man?
Good, thanks. I just wanted to touch on actually one thing that James spoke about back like in November around the PS4 launch that kind of really stayed with me. And it's like this generation, this new gen, I didn't really feel that giddiness or like that excitement that I usually would feel. I'm not sure if it's because I'm getting older, like I'm 30 now.
Oh,
And
you're
I'm-
30 now. Well, just you've got a ways to go, sir.
I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up playing NES, then I saw the jump to 16-bit graphics with the Genesis, Super NES, then there was PlayStation, and each new generation, the graphic fidelity was like a huge step up that you looked forward to it. But as James said, like there's something where it's interesting, but I've lost that excitement where you really look forward to it, where the big thing this gen is particle effects. That's like the thing that separates it from last gen. But
That's a good point you make about particle effects, because I just saw some particle effects just yesterday watching a video.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I think it is you, and I think it is me. I think it's any of us who've been invested in this, whatever your age. If you've been really invested in this since the 80s, however old you were, you have seen many different major steps in technology where every step was, I don't exactly want to say mind-blowing, but everything was so remarkable. People were doing things that you hadn't really thought was possible. I mean, I was a grown man. I was fully grown. I was living on my own. I was paying my own rent. I had my jobs. I was in my mid-20s when the PS2 came out, and I just didn't believe it. Me and Jeremy both, and several other people, seeing a lot of the things that were available then on that roll-up, even having seen that before with the original PlayStation, with the N64, we looked at it and thought, this is brilliant. I mean, I don't even play sports games. I bought a Madden game just so that I could throw that football around and look at it because it was blowing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible. Even the 360 and the PS3, I would argue, had incredible jumps in technology. This one, I'll admit, I'm a little bit tired now. I've seen this a lot, and there's not enough new to excite me the same way that I was before. But I look at this, and even on paper, it's not that exciting, and it's frustrating,
Mm-hmm.
And now, even 6 months later, all the things they're starting to show, everything they're trying to do to initiate that excitement, it's not happening.
You've got a PS4, is that correct, Zufu?
No, actually, I haven't been really encouraged to actually get one yet. I'm mostly a PC gamer now.
That's fine.
And like James said, that's the standard now. Even with the things that are interesting to me, which I think Oculus is the next big thing. Even though Sony has the Morpheus project going, that's going to be the thing that if I'm going to be excited by games again, it probably will be that. And once again, PC is leading that area in terms of VR. So I don't know if I think I'm over the whole console. I have to get it day one kind of thing. But
you know what? I wish I was. I have to admit to myself that I'm not. It's just I am still that way. I've settled down from being everything new technical wise I should get as far, I thought on that Google Glass thing but passed on it. I would say if I was 10 years ago, if that was the case, I probably would have said, no, get it, whatever, don't care, get it. And it's
you really do strike me as a person that's moved on from having to have like 2 PS4s and 2 Xbox Ones, right? You're very much, you have very much moved on.
Would you please give me my Xbox One back? Don't complain.
No, I'm doing you a favor. I'm going to help you realize.
Yeah. It's like an intervention or something.
But you're fine. You're fine in that regard. I think you eventually will end up owning a PS4, and I don't mean to side with them, but they're the only ones I can go to based on history and say that you're right. Right now it's kind of dull, and it's going to be dull for a while.
It's going to be. Look, if we're talking about the ability for the technology to just come up and wow you, to pull some trick in front of your face that's amazing, right? To do something really, really fantastic. If you can't do it in that first year, if you can't show up and say, look, man, I just made a generational step past where PC gaming is now.
Yeah.
I am now setting the terms for what we consider to be graphically impressive, graphical fidelity, and advanced visual effects. Even if they were on par, I'd be kind of impressed, but they're not. And I'm not saying that they aren't in their own right pretty decent systems, but they've done something that no consoles have really ever managed to do, and that's be worse than the standard on the day they're released.
Yeah.
I think it'll be worth jumping into it, but it won't be because they wow you with what the consoles are capable of doing. It's because somebody somewhere, or a collection of somebody's really, is going to come up with something exclusive, and you're going to be like,
that's where I was going with it.
Yeah, I got to have this.
And the reason I picked Sony is because they have a better farm of exclusive title growth out there than does Microsoft right now. And there are deals yet to be signed. There are plenty of shifts that will happen in the whole lifespan of the console. But I think if I can base it on what's there now, your exclusives are going to hit on a place. Sony is going to have more of the more exclusive titles. They've already got the pedigrees with their developers that they have.
They've been nurturing them for years.
I know.
They're not divesting themselves of studios.
Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be, you'll eventually get there, and I think it'll be on the PS4 side, and you'll probably be better off because it will have been cheaper by then. The games will have already dropped in price by then for you to pick up. And good God, if you're a PlayStation Plus member, you'll probably be able to pick some of them up for free by that time. So waiting is more a genius idea than it is anything else. It's just you're free to hold off.
And adding to that, not only are they themselves not as impressive as PCs are, but the PC market itself is entirely different from what it has ever been at the dawn of a new console. There is so much stuff. There are predominant arguments about digital distribution on the PC right now are often revolving around how there's too much stuff. Granted, people are saying there's too much crap, but the large amount of crap really shows up because of the large amount of everything. It is an embarrassment of riches. We have so much to choose from.
Yeah.
Right now you can build an incredibly powerful PC that will never be outpaced by a console for very little money, not compared to the console, but compared to, I guess, the total amount of money you could spend on a good gaming PC in the past. And you have an almost limitless library. And unless you are absolutely over the moon for the Order 1866 or Uncharted whatever, you forget about them. Forget about them until they are, half the price they are now, so cheap that you might as well own one, just for yucks.
Because I can tell you now, Zufu, when you pick up a PS4, when and if, and even if you pick up an Xbox One, regardless, if a multi-plat title comes out and it's on the PC, you're probably gonna do like me and go PC with it. You could find it cheaper. Yep. I talk about picking up Watch Dogs for $35. There's just GOG did their sale. We talked about all that stuff we picked up during GOG's sale. I was picking up games left and right for $1.50 or less, and so just expanding that backlog, which we've got an interesting email that we'll get into here in just a bit. But yeah, not that you had a question for it, but we appreciate you calling in about it,
and we agree with you completely.
We really do. Mm-hmm. We really do. So, where are you calling from again?
I'm from Texas.
Texas. That's exactly where you're. Okay. Well, we appreciate you calling in, man, and thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
And if you'd like to call us, you can, 334-272-9228. Talking about backlog, we got an email from Sean from New Zealand who wrote to us 2 weeks ago. And he wanted to talk about the backlog. He always had the thought that he'd go back to games that he buys on Steam during the sales and stuff. And he thought you would always go back and have those and play those. And maybe they'd get installed and played for 30 minutes before being placed back on the shelf with the pat of a whisper of, I'll be right back. And then 6 months later, they're still never played again and get deleted again. That's how he's run his Steam list for the last 5 years, he says. But now he's come to the point in his life where he needs to save money to do something that he wants to do. And he worked out that he'd need to save for a year, cutting down on whatever extra cost he could, and that included video games. At first, he was sad. It was the first time in a long time he shouldn't buy every half-shiny indie game that appears in Steam, but now he realized that this is why the sales exist. If he played a different game that he bought during a Steam sales for only one night for the next year, he would have all those games to last him the entire time. That's not including games that that get played for more than one night. In conclusion, building a backlog may suck, but it's really nice to have when you can't spend all the money in the world to feed the addiction. Also, the longer you hold off on buying indie titles, which is pretty much my thing these days, the better those indie bundles look for $5. As always, love the show, guys. Thanks for the email, and you're exactly right. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody should, or I don't think any of us, or at least me and James, I'm just going to say me. I don't think I should ever complain about not having anything to play. I got plenty. I got plenty to play in my backlog.
I would add on to what he's suggesting there and say that do whatever you want to do. Lots of people have different moods. I mean, and it is a mood thing in a lot of cases, as well as kind of a financial sort of thing. But this may even sound ridiculous to say, this is an excellent time to take time off from buying games. If you have that, have that backlog, and I don't just mean the summer doldrums. I don't mean any of that stuff. I mean the rate at which new good games are coming out, sort of multiplied by the rate at which, or divided by whichever, the rate at which games are jumping from retail to discount, means that even if you did need to give yourself a little bit of a purchase every now and then, the number of things that are going to be sort of top shelf really demand your attention. Or I guess I should say, since he's talking specifically about indies, top-notch indies that are going to need your attention is really, really small right now. This is a good time where there are still games coming out, but we are in a slower period for more costly games, and even still in a slow period for budget or mid-price titles. So it's a good time to just step back and say, like, I'm not going to buy Watch Dogs. I'm not going to buy Wolfenstein, as sad as that is. And I'm not going to buy, I don't even know what the next thing coming out is. Like, I'm not going to buy these things. I'm not going to spend that money. I'm going to pass on WildStar, right? Even though I have bought every MMO that has ever existed, apparently. Just pass on that. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to spend my month in it. I'm going to do my jumping around. I'm going to do my quests. I'm going to sort of like it and then put it on the shelf and not go back to it for 2 years until I hear that they fixed all the problems that I had. And that's what I should do. That's what a lot of people, I guess, should be doing, because anyone who has a backlog probably feels the same way. We all have those things because we were interested in them. And I would imagine that most of us have a little nagging feeling or a sense of guilt at buying new things and just adding straight to the backlog.
Yeah.
Mine's great too. Nothing like yours.
Right.
But, well.
But I increased my backlog when you and I did our Steam Share thing.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, I've got
That's true.
even more now to do that with. So, yeah, it's I think it's great to have a backlog. It's a secure feeling of, hey, there's always going to be something there if ever I get bored or if ever there's just nothing else to play, or in these times when we have these sort of droughts between your bigger title releases. In fact, talking about backlogs, it's coming up on that time for me to start Witcher 2 so that I can be prepared for Witcher 3 in February of next year. So I think once this Watch Dogs gets behind me, and I'm probably going to play, Wolfenstein. Once that's behind me, my summer is going to be dedicated to Witcher 2 and getting through that for the anticipated release of Witcher 3. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we will have more of In-Game Chat. Again, if you would like to call, 334-272-9228. Don't forget, we're giving away a beta key to Defense Grid 2. I don't exactly know when this game comes out, but it is currently in early beta right now, and I've got a key to give away. I'm not sure if I'm just going to dump that in the chat room for anybody watching. They can just go and do that, or if we'll do it some other way. I don't know. Haven't figured it out yet, but keep listening, and we'll figure that out. And don't forget to call 334-272-9228. We'll be back with more In-Game Chat in just a minute. This is a song that just says To Galaxy, so figure it out. And welcome back to In-Game Chats. That is music from Geometry Wars. Don't forget, if you'd like to get in touch with the show, you want to share your opinion, you got a comment, you just want to talk about whatever, you want to bring up something that James talked about back in November, you can call us and let us know. The number is 334-272-9228, 334-272-9228. All calls and folks are welcome, so we would love to hear from you. Moving on into the news, we talked about this just a little bit when Zufu was on the phone with us talking about particle effects, and then I talked about a video that came out yesterday. Sony showed gameplay from The Order, which I guess, is it just called The Order, or is it called The Order 1866?
The Order 1866 is the title.
Is the title of the game. No release date on that yet, but I'm sure we are going to see and hear more about this come Sony's E3 press conference in just about 2 weeks now. When that takes place. And
why did they release that yesterday?
Well, they built it up, and then it was like 3 minutes.
Why did they release that yesterday? This wasn't a canned 3-minute long, high quality, straight to YouTube type of video. This was something that they had promoted, I guess, for a couple of days running, that they were going to show something.
Yeah.
Yesterday, this past Friday. And it was on Twitch. They streamed it over Twitch with all of the... Twitch is great. We're on Twitch right now. It's certainly wonderful for an awful lot of things. However, when you have an as of yet very lightly promoted game that is supposed to be one of your foremost graphical experiences, and is supposed to have, shooter style gameplay, which means, what that means. Why in the world would you premiere a new piece of footage on Twitch? Like, it's with as many people as that's likely to draw to that stream. Because we don't, even now, a day and a half later, we don't have any high quality direct feed video of that.
Yeah.
And that's very clearly an era that we're living in. If an argument is going to be about graphical effects and the details of gameplay and how things have changed versus previous builds, give us direct feed of the video. You have it. I know that you have it. It's not, you didn't lose it. It didn't fall out somewhere. You have the game. You could record a segment of it and give it to everybody to actually look at. You want us talking about your game. This is obviously a piece of promotion. I don't understand why going through Twitch, where all of the recordings that have shown up on YouTube are recordings of a spotty piece of online streaming feed, you know? So there's a lot of weird compression, there's a lot of weird blurriness, there's a lot of weird hitching and tearing. So effectively, you can't really judge anything about the game. You can get in fights about it, that's real easy. Pick a forum, pick a topic about the order that was shown yesterday, and have an opinion, and now you're into a fight. Because it either looks brilliant or miserable. It either looks exciting or boring. It either looks new or old. You can't really tell. And neither side really has much of a leg to stand on because the video was garbage. The quality was just kind of garbage. And I don't know. I don't know why that's the thing they would choose to release to everybody yesterday. I don't understand why that's the way they would handle it. Or if when doing a live Twitch event, because that is an exciting thing to do, right? It's immediate. It's not pre-recorded. It's not, massaged or edited in any way. But immediately following that, just upload a clean version to YouTube, please.
Yeah, direct feed.
So, I don't know. It was very weird. I couldn't tell if it looked better. I think some aspects of it looked better.
Had we seen gameplay before this?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Months ago, I believe. Remember, it was the first time we saw actual, from player perspective gameplay when they were kind of running down the back alleys, cover to cover style stuff. You remember that? I vaguely remember it, but I know that happened.
Not saying they didn't. I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm not remembering it. So it felt like to me that this was the first time of gameplay. Gameplay, exactly what it's getting, the flag it's getting in the chat room is exactly right. Gears of London.
Right.
It had that Gears of War.
It's a third person, over the shoulder, cover based, or at least partially cover based shooter. That's cover based shooting was what we saw previously. It's what we saw in this one. They have yet to demonstrate this. Look, the setting looks fantastic. You can just tell me it's set in some kind of somewhat mythical, steampunky, maybe mid-Victorian London, right? That's fine. I think everybody has spent enough time looking at or reading enough fiction to know exactly what that's supposed to feel like. And give me an idea for a story you want to tell in that environment. But I just don't know, man. They've shown essentially two distinct pieces of gameplay up to now, and they've both been very brief, very, very small environments, narrow kind of corridor-based shooting. The one they showed previously was like in an alley, in a very, very tight and confined piece of space. This one was essentially like trying to cross from one set of cover to another set of cover on the other side of the street, fighting against some enemies, showcasing, one or two of the weapons. That's all fine, but there's nothing there. It's not even really a street. You look down one end, it's got a broken down wagon blocking the street. You look down the other way, it's got a sort of a boarded up gate, and another way got a stack of pallets. It's one of those things. You're in a street, but you're not in a street. You're not going anywhere. There's one place you're going in this piece of gameplay, and that's through the doorway immediately across.
It's across the street, not in the street. You're going across the street,
and it's one of those things. And I think that at this point, sure, fine. The graphics, they're whatever you want. You know what? Whatever you want them to be. I don't think they looked particularly great. I'm a little bit astonished that so many people were jaws to the floor over this thing. It doesn't look bad, but it didn't seem particularly amazing to me. And what they were able to pull off, they pulled off in a tiny little box that's meant to look like a blocked off street. It wasn't big, it wasn't complicated, it was incredibly simple, and I would expect you to look at least that good if the environment is that simple. But setting that aside, I'm sympathetic to the number of people who didn't like what they saw.
And about a
It was
minute and a
just
half of those 3 minutes was cutscene, right?
cutscene-y
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, one thing I was gonna say. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that there's no multiplayer or anything. It's just single player. So I mean, with just single player games, you kind of have to hide to a degree.
mhm.
A good portion of it. Because they don't want to reveal too much. So I mean, I can kind of somewhat understand that aspect. But I mean, I agree. They should have. The whole Twitch thing. I guess they didn't think it would be as big as it was. As many people. So I guess they were kind of not anticipating that many people being disappointed. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure why they would have done that.
I don't know. Anytime you show anything, you should absolutely be girded
Yeah.
and armored completely against the blowback.
Well, we talked
because
about the marketing aspect of things. When you show something, when you tease and say you're going to show something, it better be the best thing that you're about to show for something that people haven't really seen a lot of.
Right.
It needs to be the best thing you got so that it can hold their appetite for whatever you're going to be delivering later on. It needs to keep those people there. It needs to keep their attention saying, I may not be on your train, but I'm really interested in what's there.
Right.
Or people who are like, I'm hopping on your hype train. I'm on it. I'm
Right.
there. So it needs to do those two things. What it doesn't need to do is completely lose everybody's attention and say, all right, that I'm not interested in. Never mind.
Right.
I believe with more questions than anything else.
For
Well, and I don't
something like that. Yeah.
I don't terribly mind questions, but I do put this slightly in the same category of complaint that I leveled against Destiny. It's like, look, I'm not impressed with how you look. And that's not your fault. The hardware is what it is.
Mhm.
And, the whole first half hour of the show was talking about you're not going to be able to do that. There is no secret. There is no genie inside of these consoles. There is no secret sauce. It isn't there, okay? You are not going to be able to really blow my mind. You're going to maybe raise my eyebrow. I think for whatever else the game may have been, Infamous, for what it's worth, was able to pull some simple tricks and look really, really good in a few places, particularly if you played with the photo mode. And I don't know if you ever did.
No, I did not.
But it's good. It's good. And they were able to make something that looks really, really good, but it isn't enough to justify that purchase that you and I made.
Right.
But setting all that aside, you're never going to get me on the graphics, or you're probably never going to get me on the graphics. I don't know. Just show me what you're really about. Show me what you're doing, right? I want to look at your video and I want to imagine what it's going to be like playing it. I want to think about what it's going to be like when I play your game. I don't want to do your work for you, as I've said 1,000 times. I don't want to imagine the brilliant spectacle that I am certain is lurking behind my $60 purchase. I don't want to go on flights of fancy in my own head and come up with answers that you refuse to give me as a marketer. I want you to show me some example of what it is I will be doing. And there's a lot of timidity around that, There's been timidity around it with Watch Dogs for a different type of reason.
Mm-hmm.
They've been timid about it with Destiny. They're timid about it apparently with this. And I understand not wanting to spoil, as you say, a single-player game. But it also makes me wonder, how little of your game is there that more than 90 seconds of what, frankly, I'm sorry, looks like derivative gameplay is maybe stretching your ability, is maybe overexposure. I worry about those things. And I'm critical of those things because I and a lot of people like me are being skeptical. It's an expensive business. And how many times have we all thrown perfectly good money after, good intentions, wishes,
Too many times.
great advertising? I just don't want to do that anymore.
Man, too many times. That's the reason. Yeah, there you go. There's the reason I don't think there's a reason a lot of us here didn't pick up Wolfenstein.
Right.
It's one of those situations where it's like, no, I'll wait and see what.
And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. There's an entire school of thought that says you should never be doing this. You should never be getting hyped prior to a game's release. You should always be waiting for other things.
Mm-hmm.
I say bring back the demos. PlayStation Magazine demos.
They were great for us. They were apparently really, really bad for sales,
Yeah.
which is why they stopped.
Demos are a tough thing because that puts part of the game in your customer's hand to go ahead and make that choice. I know rentals do that too, but they have no control over that because then they could just release the game. People have put their pre-order down and everything else. So, but putting out demos completely makes up the mind of the consumer right then and there. They don't have to put down. They don't have to go to pre-order. They don't have to do anything else. They make up their. That's it. They made up their mind, and have already played your game. So it's. I remember. I think it was for the Xbox 360. They released an Iron Man demo. Sega released an Iron Man demo based off the film, and it just killed sales after people played it because it was so bad. I think people were hoping good things for it just because I think Spider-Man was good at the time for what it was doing, and yeah, it just it killed the sales on it, and so that's when you kind of started thinking that demos probably aren't the best way that developers or publishers would like to go with their titles, releasing those demos. But still, it's one of those things, man. You say that about Iron Man, but then you go back and say, remember when they released Lost Planet for a demo on the 360?
Demos can do a really, 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 really great job. They can do good work. They just have to be really good demos.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know this sounds ridiculous. Just make something really awesome, and you'll be fine. If you just make something that's super awesome that everyone loves, you're going to be okay. Why don't everybody just do that? Like if you show something that gives people.
What was the last demo you played?
Oh man,
Deus Ex, which wasn't really a demo.
Was it not? Oh, you mean the leaked press preview?
That was
thing.
the air quotes leaked demo.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that actually is a really, really excellent question. I don't know. I think I may have gotten a demo for something for some indie or something. Those guys are usually a little bit better about releasing demos, but it was something I was pretty much already interested in. I just wanted to have a look. Wound up buying it. I honestly I cannot remember the last time I legitimately played a demo to check out the game.
Stanley Parable demo.
Oh yeah,
I did play that.
that's the most recent. I still haven't played that. Own it. Is that one of?
That's one of those interesting ones.
Is it one of those? Is it one of those where the demo is a completely separate experience?
Yeah.
Those are so cool.
Yeah.
Those are so. Half-Life's original demo, the original demo for the original Half-Life, was a completely separate, completely independent thing. Uplink is what it was called, and it was its own little. I don't know. It's probably 30 minutes worth of gameplay, but it was its own kind of little perfectly encapsulated, self-referential little pocket universe of gameplay. And it was fantastic because it managed to show you absolutely every one of the pivotal, fundamental mechanics to the game. You were playing Half-Life. You just weren't playing a section of Half-Life torn out and given to the player base. And artistically, that's great. You're telling your own little story, but it's also really good because you're not trying to find the right section, the right segment of your gameplay to demo for the public. You could actually, long before the game is ever ready to go, you could actually have somebody working on something like that. And it wouldn't have any impact on the core game. Just say, here's the basic mechanics, give us 5-10 minutes of gameplay, separate, completely unrelated. Starlancer demo was like that. Starlancer demo was actually 3 full missions and a prequel to the story of Starlancer.
See, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah,
Make your demo your prequel.
that's really cool.
That leads right into where you left, where
And then
the
make
game
it
starts.
awesome and
Yeah.
make it so everyone will love it and you'll have no problems. Or just stop making demos.
And then there's that.
So I don't know. I think that whatever they showed on the order was really, really bad because it didn't. Just to get back to that, I don't. The guy who was there, he was a guy, and he had a gun, and oh look, there's a bunch of places where I could maybe take cover. Oh, the AI went there, and there, and look, there's one place left open. I wonder where this dude's gonna go, and I wonder what he's gonna do. Oh, he's going to pop out to the right and shoot some dudes. What? Now he's going to pop out to the left and shoot some dudes. Look at that. Now he's going to press triangle to save a dude in the street. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I need more. I need more. Bring more. Design more. Build more. Make more. Charge less. And I'll buy more. It's totally simple. I don't know why everybody's not doing it.
Sufu says demos back then helped because there was no online reviews or YouTube, but nowadays public opinion is enough to make or break sales.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact, which is why I wonder why you would demo this sort of thing on Twitch. But
Well, I've watched plenty of. Well, I haven't watched plenty. I've watched the videos of people playing Watch Dogs that have been posted in forums. I've watched those. People trying to run their PC. People just trying to run Watch Dogs on a really good PC that it should run on at max settings. What did the guy say? How much it wouldn't run on an i5 or something?
That's
Or
not
a
entirely true.
4 gigs of RAM?
No, 6 minimum.
Yeah,
he
6
was
minimum.
the UB rep was suggesting that the game wouldn't even boot with less than 6 gigs of RAM, which is, I guess, possible. Their minimum specs really lowballed the processor, but I don't even know why they did that. I don't understand. Apparently, you need a monstrous machine to get stable frame rates in an average-looking game. That's disappointing, I guess.
Yeah. But we're all going to find out Tuesday. Because I'm sure, like it said, NVIDIA hasn't released any of their updated drivers for this.
No. And a lot of people that have early access to the PC version are suspecting that there's going to be a day one patch of some sort.
Right.
Couple that with drivers from both of the major manufacturers for video cards. For other people, probably a set of updated profiles for SLI, running an SLI. That's often a very tricky, touchy configuration for a lot of games. Leads to worse performance, not better. So, the whole story's not there. I am most curious to see legitimate hands-on gameplay with Xbox One, PS4, that kind of stuff. We have seen video from the Xbox 360 version, which is unsurprisingly horrible. There are a lot of people who apparently thought it was perfectly fine. Good on you for thinking it was perfectly fine, because they thought it was wretched and fairly disgusting looking. But whatever.
Yeah. I hit up another email here before we hit the top of the hour, and we're going back to March from this email. So this goes back a ways. This is from Chris O'Regan, who has his own show out there, and I wish I could remember the name of it. Sorry, Chris, I can't remember. But anyway, he said he just finished listening to episode 11 of this season, where James spoke many a wise word on liking games that everyone else seems to deride, and releasing games on a Friday. Both of these things are close to my heart, as I too preferred the gameplay of Assassin's Creed over the bagillion sequels it spawned, as they seem to shy away from the very thing the game's bajillion about the game, that being a careful planning and execution of a dignitary. The later games feel like a cross between Sonic the Hedgehog with a heavy dose of parkour and Batman. Now, that may sound like fun, and it is, but it has naff all to do with carrying out assassinations. As for the Friday game release day thing, that's something we in Europe have been enjoying for over 30 years, as games appear on Fridays here and not Tuesdays. This may have something to do with Infamous Second Son and The Last of Us being released worldwide on this day. Anyway, keep up the good work. Kind regards, Chris.
I still think that would be better off for almost everyone involved. Were we able to even come to a conclusion and agreement amongst ourselves why Tuesday could possibly be better? Tuesday's like the worst. It is the worst day. It is absolutely the worst day.
Yeah.
For deliveries, in a lot of cases, because nothing, particularly in the States, I'm sure this works similar elsewhere, but no deliveries of any sort will be happening on Sundays. So if you've got something that's actually going to go into the post fairly early and it's meant to have day one delivery on Tuesdays, it has to sort of account for that day of nothing taking place. If in the case of something like rentals from GameFly, it's often not enough time. Like my Watch Dogs copy, I got notification that it shipped for the PS4. That's really, really good. But the fact that it has to cross a Sunday and a holiday in the U.S. as well means that won't be showing up,
Mm-hmm.
Friday, it's at the end of the work week. You've got the entire week, both to place orders and for deliveries to occur. You've got the game showing up at the end of what is most people's work week and the beginning of their leisure time.
Yeah.
Much, much, much nicer.
Hey, someone had posted, why are video games released on Tuesdays? And he's like, what could be worse than that? And the first comment was, well, it could be Monday.
It could, yeah, I guess that could be worse.
Yeah, Medusa's Mirror says the only thing I know that releases on Tuesday is new books. Man, like any new media releases on Tuesdays.
At least in the States, yeah.
Yeah, in the States here. Your movies, well, not your movies in theaters, but your home, DVD, Blu-ray, that sort of thing.
Movies, things
That's
like
always on Tuesday.
And CDs.
CDs are always on Tuesday, but who buys those anymore? Well, new music releases, even still, not even CDs. It's like the new releases on iTunes and stuff, I think, also hit on Tuesdays. But I don't know that for sure, which is ridiculous. You're digital. Release it when you want. You don't have to adhere to shipping schedules or anything like that. Just release it whenever. So, yeah. Yes, Dennis says that Chris was with the Super Happy Fun Time show. I don't think that they're doing that anymore, or if they are, he's also doing a couple of other shows. I've retweeted them on our Twitter account a few times there. So, but he's doing a lot of work. I see him at E3. I see him at PAX. The guy does a lot of overseas travel, coming over here to do the game stuff. So, but yeah, he was the one that sent in our congratulatory happy 101st episode message, because he's like, everybody sends him a happy 100th episode. We're going to do the 101st. So, the Doctor Who Waited says, what games for PS3 do you guys recommend? Ooh. You've got a lot, man. Uncharted series, Last of Us, Heavenly Sword, which we talk about, which you still can't pick up.
Which you still can't pick up for anything less than almost full price.
You can used, but brand new, it's not gone down in price. Brand new, it's still like $45-$50.
How old is that game?
That was a launch title for the PS. You're talking
2005,
2006, 5 or 6,
yeah,
something like that.
Other things for PS3. If you're at all interested in some of the HD collections,
Metal Gear Solid, yeah.
Metal Gear Solid, God of War.
What was that one you looked at the house the other day? Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
As well as Ico and Shadow of the Colossus.
Yes.
Other HD collection. The Journey, you can get on disc. The Journey, Flower.
That game company's stuff.
Yeah,
Flow.
Their stuff.
Journey, Flower, Flow.
As full games, Valkyria Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice. There are a handful of multiplats that actually worked best on that system, strangely. Burnout Paradise was one.
Yeah, I mean, just asking a general question like that, what games do you recommend for PS3? What kind of games do you like to play, really, is the next question. Anytime I get asked that, because here I get asked that a lot, because they know me as like, oh, you're that guy that does the game thing. What's a good game to get on such and such? What do you like to play first? That's always something that's best to know whenever that question gets asked. Is like, what do you like to play? What's your genre? What do you like? So,
Dragon's Crown was fun on Vita. I can say that, and I know that it had a PS3 release. There's really a lot of good stuff.
There really is.
All the way at the end of its life.
I mean, right, it's here at the end of life, which is why I look back and told Zufu, I'm like, hey, looking at things, you're probably going to go for your Sony console,
right,
with the amount of exclusives that are there. And like we said, some of the multiplats worked, but Catherine, Three Blade says, was good there as well. So
there really were a lot of HD collections.
Yes, there were.
Silent Hill HD collection, Zone of the Enders HD collection. There was an enormous amount of that stuff rolled up and put onto the PS3.
God of War collection.
Yeah.
They did. So a lot of stuff there. Anyway, we're going to take a break. Just to let you know, we're going to give away the beta key next hour. I'm going to do that by just throwing the key into the chat room. So what you should do is open up Steam and get ready to input code. We're going to do that next hour. It is a Steam code for the beta of Defense Grid 2. Currently, I did a video on it. You can head over to our YouTube channel and watch the little preview. There's only 2 levels right now to begin with, but they will add more as the beta goes on, I assume. but I do have a key for it, so make sure you keep chat open. That's coming up in the next hour. If you would like to get in touch with us, and we would love it if you would, give us a call, 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. Here's music from Splinter Cell Conviction. We'll be right back. Somewhere in here is music for Splinter Cell Conviction. It's coming up. There it is. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the second hour of In-Game Chats. Welcome to the show. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can. 334-272-9228. 334-272-9228. We are also we're on Twitch. For anybody just listening now, tuning in now, we are on Twitch. Head over to twitch.tv and just look for In-Game Chat. You will find us there, and you can join us in the chat room. AC Wraith is in the chat room. Captain Canuck is in the chat room. Cavalier UK, Lavos, Medusa's Mirror, who also sent us an email that we're going to be reading a little bit later. Also, let's see, Stufu, Three Blades, W. Matthew, and Zufu hanging out in the chat room with us. Oh, I see Jeremy has joined us, and Dennis. Dennis is in Atlanta. I guess his convention thing, they're an hour ahead, so I guess the convention thing, the show floor is closed or something right now. So, but we appreciate him hanging out there. He will be back with us next week to tell us all about his adventures at, I believe, MomoCon is what it's called. And I'm probably messing up the pronunciation on that. The music you just heard was from Pinball Effects 2. That has lately been my go-to game of just, I got time to kill, let me sit down and play some pinball. I do Silver Ball Sundays every other Sunday on our YouTube channel, on our Twitch channel, but I also put them up on YouTube. But every other Sunday I do Pinball Effects. Some guy added me to his friends list, and I accepted on Steam, called Sun Vulcan. I don't know who this guy is, but I saw that he liked to play pinball, so I added him, and all my high scores got demolished by this guy. I was no longer pinball king. I was no longer champion of anything, and I was like, oh, great. There were times I contemplated taking him off just so I could have the top spot. That's a horrible thing, but what it did do, I like to play the tables that I use on Silver Ball Sundays. I like to do green. I like to play them because I've never played them before. I've never played them on PC before, because a lot of these tables are on the 360, and I have played those, but there's some that I just haven't touched, and I have them on PC now, so I like to do this green. But the ones that I've already done, I'm going back to, and what it's done, it's made me a better pinball player, having him do those high scores. Slowly but surely, I'm gaining my ground back and taking my top spot against this guy. Mm-hmm. And what it shows me is that what I used to do was like look at the high scores and say, okay, let's get top spot on this. And then when I added this guy, he was miles away from me. And so it's made me better in. Once I've gotten there, I've realized how low a score I don't know. Maybe it's how much I didn't try to see what it was previous. Take a table, for example, that I only got like 8 million. And all the scores under me are like 7 million, 6 million, less. This guy had 17 million. Like almost 10 times what I had. And
But you said you played them green, right?
Huh?
You said you played them green, right? New, like first time table.
Yeah, first time tables, but I can still do pretty good on it. But then I go back and it's like I can beat this guy pretty easily on some of these tables. Takes a little bit of time, but I can beat this guy pretty easily. I'm like, man, look how far I've come. To where I thought, man, getting 8 million, that was great, but yet here I am hitting 22s and 23 millions on the same table.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun to do for me, and I'm glad I didn't take him off my list, even though that thought.
That sounds similar to the newest SSX on PlayStation 3 or 360, where you think you did good on a course, you got a lot of points on the trick score. Like for instance, I would get like double-digit millions, and then someone is almost in the triple-digit millions in their case, and they said, "Man, I thought I did good on here until I met this one guy."
Looking at we've got somebody on the phone here. William is actually calling on the phone. William, you're on the air. Where are you from, William?
Here in Montgomery right now.
Oh, hey. Well, thanks for calling in.
I thought you was trivia.
Okay, he wants to throw some trivia to us.
Okay, now you know the P-51 fire plane is called the Mustang. It was a single engine with the machine guns on the left and right side. You had the P-47, which is called the Thunderbolt, single engine with machine guns on the left and right side. He had the P-38, the Lightning, which was a twin-engine fighter. The guys that designed the P-38 Lightning also designed the SR-71. Now, the good thing about the P-38, you had two engines, but one rotated clockwise, the engine stopped, and the other one rotated counterclockwise. So he didn't have any drifting. He didn't have to worry about convergence because machine guns on the cannon were right in the nose. The only way you could bail out of a P-38, you had to turn upside down. And Charles Lindbergh helped develop the G-suits, and also showed the P-38 how to run a real lean. Because of it, they were able to shoot down Yamamoto, the guy that planned an attack on Pearl Harbor. Now, another thing about the P-38, which is, like I said, you had to turn upside down to bail out, otherwise you lose your head. But when you approach the speed of sound of the P-38, all the control systems were reversed. You push down, you go up. If you pull back, you go down. Just thought I'd throw a little bit of trivia out there for you, for those people who still like the old-time game.
Yeah, we do.
This is great.
See, I like the old-time. You want to hear something else interesting?
Go for it.
Now, there's on the news today that the United States Army has just developed a nice weapon that you take and highlight somebody from about 800 yards away, and automatic controls and everything else in the rifle to shoot the bullet to get a kill.
Okay, say that again.
Okay, the Army has come out with a weapon
Right.
that all you do is sight the person that you want to shoot at, and when the target is right, it automatically fire the gun, and it's accurate to about 800 yards. It's on the news today.
So it just auto fires once your target is in sight.
Once you get them inside, just
Auto aim.
I highlight them now.
Aimbot.
You talk about WordStar. I also got my WordStar 5 1/4 disc.
A 5 1/4?
You have the 5 1/4 disc.
I haven't seen one of those in, I don't know.
I had it on an Osborne
12 and a quarter
computer.
years.
I had it on an Osborne computer and also a K-Pro computer.
On a what computer?
Osborne.
An Osborne computer.
As long as a suitcase type thing. But the good thing about it was it had a orange screen. It did not get eye fatigue like you do with a green screen.
No, I know what you're talking about.
The good thing about the WordStar, it has certain features that no other program has at all. That's why the guy like you were talking about last time takes and writes all his manuscripts on I think it was thrown, you know what I mean, using WordStar. Because there's certain features in the WordStar word processor that just nobody else has been able to reproduce.
Huh.
Just a little bit trivia though, but remember this. The guy that developed the SR-71 also developed the P-38. And what's so neat about the P-38, you had counter-rotating props. You take your hand off the stick and you just fly straight. You wouldn't have to worry about pulling left or right like you would with single fighters.
Right.
Which is really good. Oh, well, so much for that. Y'all have a good day now.
Hey,
Thanks
you have
for
a good
calling,
day.
man.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling.
Now, see,
All right.
if they were still making World War II flight sims the way they're supposed to be making them, then a lot more people would have some context.
Yeah. Nathan, turn on your mic for a second.
Turn it on?
Turn it. Yes.
Okay.
What? No. Turn on.
I thought you said turn it down. I was like, it's
No. Turn on your mic for a second. What I want to say. Give us the backstory of that call.
Meaning?
He called us what? Was it last week?
Well,
What was the deal on that
when
last?
we were talking about flight sims and stuff. Remember,
Right.
he's the one that called and asked if the submarine,
688i.
60, he had it on a floppy and wanted to know if he could still play it. And then
you found the download online for free.
Yeah, that you
Yeah.
could still play it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so then later on we were talking about flight sims and then airplanes and stuff, and he was saying that his dad flew the planes in World War II, and right
It was
before
a P-36, if I remember correctly. It was the forerunner to the P-40 Warhawk, I believe, is what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But the forerunner plane, not the Warhawk. It was the one that preceded it, and one of the only planes we actually had flying and in service prior to our entry into World War II.
Yeah, and he was just saying that his dad was able to experience a flight sim before he had passed. So,
I gotcha. No, that's good. I'm glad to hear from him again.
yeah.
So I just wanted to give the context of that call.
In terms of the last week's.
Yes.
In terms of last week's
anybody
discussion.
who was listening was like, because there was a couple of people in the chat room like, I think he's got the wrong show, but no, this was
No. This is actually relevant and related, particularly to the flight sim stuff we were talking about last
Yeah.
week.
Yes.
Don't forget, in this hour, I'm going to give away the beta key to Defense Grid 2. I'm going to do that by putting it in the chat room. If you are interested at all, you need a PC and you need Steam. That's how you can activate it. So I would say right now, go ahead and open up Steam and get that, add new game or whatever. Get that ready because you're going to be doing some cutting and pasting to throw it in there. In fact, I think what I'll do is you'll figure it out. You'll just figure it out when I do it. But I'm going to be doing it in the chat room and Twitch. So you need to head over to twitch.tv and head into our chat room to do that. So anyway, welcome back to the show. Let's see. What else this week? We got the Google buys Twitch thing.
We got the rumor Google buys Twitch thing. This is what happens. I despise news like this.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what should come out on Tuesday? News.
Talking about
Gaming
releases.
news. Not games. Gaming news. Because when gaming news breaks, you would not believe the number of times we have actually been really prescient about things. And we'll be talking about something in the studio or even on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And then 12 hours from now, some really interesting thing will happen. And it's like, well, maybe people will still care next week.
Right.
So the very strong rumor that Google, specifically the YouTube division, was going to buy Twitch broke last Sunday. And that's pretty much been marked as a rumor. Nobody's commenting.
Nothing new has been revealed.
There's been a
as
lot
far
of
as that's
speculation,
concerned.
but the worry and the angst and everything, and there was a great deal of it, burned out pretty quick, just because there's no developments. And everyone pretty much scared themselves to death with the speculation. And we really don't have anything to add to that other than to say that, for a lot of people who could not make their way on YouTube, for a lot of the people who were kind of drowned out by the wealth of content on YouTube, Twitch, if the thing you wanted to provide was gaming, Twitch has been the great place to go, a wonderful place to go. They don't work at all like YouTube. They serve a different kind of audience, and they're very good at cultivating communities for people. And it's a really nice place. It's grown into a relatively nice place to be for a lot of kind of mid-rank gaming personalities or gaming channels. Many of which who have distinguished themselves entirely away from you. Because there was a thought for a long time, you can go do stuff on Twitch, but, you really have to cross-post back to YouTube because that's where all the real stuff is. And it turns out that's not entirely true. So just to hear all of a sudden that YouTube is going to come gobble up Twitch, whatever that might mean, right? Whether they want the name, the identity, I can't imagine there's any sort of technology that Twitch owns that they want and can't have on their own cheaper. That's kind of upsetting, Are you going to absorb the subscription and donation model? Are you going to force people to use your Google Plus accounts? Are you absolutely going to bring all of your automatic DMCA takedown stuff, all of your content ID systems? Are you going to bring that to bear? Because Twitch has been pretty gentlemanly about that sort of stuff. They are very letter of the law as that goes, and it means that they haven't caused too many problems for a lot of people who can't deal with that sort of issue. And that's I think the great fear that everybody has. But account merging, loss of identity, loss of channel, stuff like this is really, really concerning.
Google Plus.
Yeah, all of it. There really isn't. There are only a few things about it that you can consider a benefit, and really, it's just in terms of the horsepower that Google brings to bear. Their technology, where streaming is concerned, is actually really, really good. They allow you to scrub through the timeline of a stream. Like if you do a video hangout, or watch a video hangout or a stream on YouTube, you can actually scrub back through the timeline to see something that you missed. Obviously, it's integrated with their stuff, so it kind of goes directly into your archiving of the video, and without any sort of problems or anything. There are things that they have, infrastructure things, but it's hard to imagine that if they actually do acquire Twitch, that it will be for the better overall, for the better. Interestingly, though, today or yesterday, sometime this weekend, YouTube made a couple of small announcements.
Yeah, you were telling me about these I missed. I did not
in
see
one of their
these.
little creator blogs where they talk occasionally about things that they're going to be doing. And one of the things is enabling some tools for content creators that are going to help them out in various ways, mostly on mobile. But I noticed that one of those mentions was they're going to make it easy for you to financially support channels that you're interested in. Because right now it's almost entirely ad supported on YouTube. Subscription and ad view supported. And one of the good benefits of Twitch is that you just put your donation button down there and say, hey, look, if you're enjoying what we're doing, would you mind just clicking down there and throwing me a couple of dollars? You don't have to do it very often, but any little bit helps me keep doing what I'm doing. There are ad revenues to be had through Twitch, but they're minuscule, they're microscopic, and people help out that way as well. But just, throwing a couple dollars at somebody through the donate button is really, really helpful. Twitch makes that easy. And if you're successful enough, if you meet a certain tier of performance on Twitch, you can actually partner with them and you can get subscriptions, and you can start building in all these special things you do for your people. You can really start to build a community around what you provide. Yeah. And to see that YouTube is moving in that direction at all is interesting.
You can rent some office space so you can do some game streaming.
Yeah, I don't know. You can
maybe
live your fairy tales while we're making stuff up. But to see that YouTube is actually thinking about that at all, in light of the possible acquisition of Twitch, makes me think that it lends it some credence, right? And says at least they're moving in the direction of making it possible to more directly support people who do things there. So it's a piece of news. It's not a particularly happy piece of news. It doesn't look like anybody is particularly well placed to YouTube comes along, buys up Twitch, takes them back home to Google, ruins them, essentially. Where do you go? Where do you go if you don't want to be part of the Google ecosystem for your stream and your community? Where?
Yeah.
Ustream? Hitbox? Maybe. But they're very small operations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes an enormous amount of money to build the kind of infrastructure that can do even what Twitch does. So nobody is out there doing it right now. And so that puts us in kind of a precarious place as, as a hobby, a pastime enthusiasts of this kind of thing. So I don't know. It's probably going to be a while before we hear anything else about it, but I still don't think it's going to look like particularly great news.
Yeah. An email here from Sarah, who Medusa's Mirror in the chat room. Hey guys, just curious if any of you have looked at Valiant Hearts from Ubisoft. It's still a month and change out from release, so I know there isn't too much on it yet, but it seems to be cropping up on several of the review sites. It looks very, very pretty, very interesting game, and it's World War I, which I, at least, haven't seen too often. Thanks for the show, Sarah. I looked this up, Valiant Hearts, and in fact, it is on Ubisoft's list of games they're going to be showing at their press conference.
Oh, okay.
They talked about their 5 games or something like that, and it is on their list. This is a game made with the is it it's like Ubisoft Arts or something like that?
Yeah, the same thing that they made
Rayman.
Yeah. Well, Rayman and Child of Light.
Child of Light, yes, that's the other one. So I'm
there's that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the same boat that she is. I haven't really seen much on it, and but apparently we are going to see plenty on it come E3, which really is kind of where you sit at this point in time right now. It's like, we haven't heard much about that, but you got E3 coming up in 2 weeks, and you're probably going to be hearing a lot more on whatever it is that you're kind of curious now about games being released and that sort of thing. So,
it's interesting when you actually have a development platform like that, when you have like the UbiArts technology, right? Like a technology platform, a simple development platform that you've proven several times over can produce simple but very lovely games with decent mechanics. It's fully capable of doing a number of things. And know that you can generally produce things fairly easily. You're going to like the way they look. You're going to like the way they operate. They're going to show up on every device under the sun. It's funny. We talk about being interested in the setting of something like The Order.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of it is Victorian England.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing, okay, I love the setting. I love the concept. Now just wrap some good gameplay and some decent graphics around it, and I'm in. I find it interesting that someone can say, we're making this game, like Bob's game, but it's being made on this platform. And I find myself automatically interested because I like what they've done previously. I like just the general things that you can output. I don't have to worry about it technologically, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's also, that's an interesting statement, right? Like we had absolutely no problem. We were completely sanguine about jumping in with both feet and telling every possible kind of story we wanted about the Second World War. Comically fictitious, fairly realistic.
It ran the gamut. I mean,
like truthful, factual, ridiculous. You've got Wolfenstein, and you've got Brothers in Arms, right? You've got that entire gamut. I understand that you can make an argument that the gamification of the First World War would be fundamentally different because everybody perceives it as trench warfare, slow stalemate type of warfare, which it actually wasn't entirely. That's just that's our view of it. But there's also, it has an entirely different emotional appeal. If that makes any sense. We don't think about the First World War the same way we do the Second, at least in America. I can't say how other people feel about it, but it's a much more, it's 25 years older in our collective memory, but it's still somehow a little more painful, a little rougher a thing. It isn't filled with the same kind of rip-roaring patriotism.
Right.
I guess it was a much different affair, a much different experience. Nice to see it coming out this year, though. 100th anniversary of the beginning of the war. So
yeah.
Fun fact too: Germany just paid off that war debt last year.
From the first one.
Yeah, they're now paying on World War II debt.
That's a little bit rough. There's some incredibly deep conversations to be had about whether they should have even been made to do that.
But that's a different show.
That is a much different show.
Comes on after ours.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here, and then when we come back, we'll have more of In-Game Chat. In fact, we'll have our final segment of In-Game Chat. So if you'd like to be a part of the show, you can. Give us a call, 334-272-9228. If you don't feel like calling, which, why not? You can email us, everyone at ingamechat.net. That is everyone at ingamechat.net. I've already started the giveaway in the chat room, by the way. Posted up the first 4 digits or so of the Steam code. Going to be posting those as the show goes on. So have your Twitch chat open and get ready. Anyway, when we come back, we'll have more of In-Game Chat. Coming up next, here is a song titled Scars of Time. I really should go back and figure out what game this is from.
You should have played more games.
That too. It's probably in my backlog. But from wherever this is from, I believe, he's not in the chat room, but I believe Gersnort sent these in, and I just labeled them this way. Whatever.
I'm pretty sure it's not in your backlog.
Exactly. Here it is. I think it's Bastion. It's not Bastion. What is it? Chrono Cross. Yeah, it's not in my backlog.
Killer. The mind.
And welcome back to the final segment here of In-Game Chat, music from Res HD. If you would like to get in touch with us, yes, it is Three Blades, the best stage music ever. If you'd like to get in touch with us, give us a call, 334-272-9228, 334-272-9228, or, you can email us, everyone, at ingamechat.net. We'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to hear from you on the show. Thoughts, opinions, everything else. Coming up later on this segment, we're going to be talking with Rustin over at Retro Game Planet and see how the Smash Brothers Melee tournament is going on and see how that's going for them. And and that's what we'll do. Has anybody played anything? I did my pinball stuff. You dipped into some Diablo.
I went back to Diablo, yeah. I
missed...
you,
after the show got off the air last week, Nathan came in and asked James, "Hey, you been playing Diablo? They're doing this thing." Or that was during the show.
Yeah,
actually.
it was during the show. And by the time I got back around to it, there was only a day or so left. They were gonna cut it off. And I got back in and I played a little bit. I was like, this is a shame, because I really feel like, particularly for undergeared characters or for people that just really aren't having an awful lot of time to spend in the game trying to gear themselves up, a better drop rate would be very welcome. And it turns out that they just decided to extend that bonus, that drop rate bonus and buff indefinitely, forever. It's just now baked into the game. And to be fair, I know for a lot of people that play a lot, it may feel like it was unnecessary. But for people that just were sort of playing at an average pace, it feels a lot nicer. So I've spent a little bit of time, and it got two of the best drops I've had, actually, in the game, pretty much right off the bat. Two of the very special legendaries that we often talk about manage to fundamentally change the way you play your character, the way you approach encounters and stuff is really, really nice. Outside of that, I've been doing a lot more of following than playing this week. I've spent a lot more time with my nose in the news, trying to read discussions, making myself angry, reading Reddit threads or threads on GAF or something like that.
Any particular one come to mind?
I have spent an awful lot of time in anything that is sort of console war-y and pre-E3. And I don't know why. I'm not a console warrior.
Yeah.
I have very strong opinions about things, and I never, ever can come down on either side in anything in particular. But I really like to see where people are at in an otherwise totally useless discussion. And... yeah, it's as an example, all of that anger surrounding that some people consider to be completely unjustified, all of that anger surrounding the removal of those two playlists from the PC version of Titanfall. The capture the flag mode.
That's right.
Has
They're
actually
putting
been
that back
re-added.
in. Yeah.
A couple of days ago, they basically said, you know what? You guys are mad. You guys are like so completely mad. There are more of you mad than people who actually played CTF. So they say. That's not fair. What they really said was there's a greater outcry than the small number of players would have led us to believe. So we're reinstituting it, and we're going to, I guess, maybe sort of fix the matchmaking. If you have to wait too long, the matchmaking system will put you up with some dude in China, and you'll just deal with it, or whatever. Not really. It'll try to match you to neighboring continents, and then outside of that, it'll match you to anyone else in the universe trying to play that game mode. I still insist, that it's your matchmaking that's broken, not the absolute number of people trying to play, because it's only 6 versus 6, man. If you cannot find 11 other dudes to put me with at any given time of day, I'm playing Capture the Flag.
I thought for sure they were going to add it back in with DLC.
Yeah. And it's only the CTF mode. It's not the Pilot Hunter mode.
Yeah, they're not doing that.
It's only the CTF mode. Pilot Hunter mode is already a little too similar to the attrition mode. I guess in their mind, I preferred it, what little I played. But anyway, the point being, if there is anything that this generation has taught us, that the beginning of this generation or the last year or so has taught us, is that public rage and the directing that rage, directing your dissatisfaction en masse down the right conduit, there is no question. There is no speculation about whether that can have an effect. It has enormous effects. Enormous. Huge. Half a dozen major, I guess we would call them major, at least in terms of news, but half a dozen major reversals from all of these companies in the past year speaks very highly to the ability to be blindly angry about something and blow it possibly out of proportion to get what you want.
Have you played anything lately, Nathan?
Just a couple of the games on the Vita that I got for free. The robot one. I can't think of the name. But real quick, I do want to ask you a question. I saw that the game you guys were talking about last week got funded.
Amplitude.
Yes.
Yes.
I saw that. That was
Whoa, did
pretty-
it really?
It did, yeah.
Weren't they like $1 million away from being done? How did that happen? Was it one of those things? Was it one of those things where it was always going to get funded and like Tony Stark showed up at the last minute and like donated the last?
I don't think
$700,000 or something.
Actually, no, it wasn't. It wasn't somebody out of the woods that like gave them a huge boost of whatever. They just started not shutting up about it, basically.
Well, I saw for sure at least 4 different sections on multiple on PlayStation, and then the game section on Reddit where people just kept talking about it, and so I think that's kind of
they got a huge campaign push, I guess, for people to donate. They didn't get a push of funds. They just had a huge push of promotion for it.
Yeah.
Through Twitter, they did a telethon on Twitch for I don't know how long. It was an all-day thing. They did a telethon on it, trying to raise money for it.
But I mean, it passed, and it still had like 18 hours left before it finished. And now I'm looking now.
It was like 850?
844,000 it finished at.
What was their ask? Like
775.
775.
Yeah.
And then
That's still a little bit like Indiana Jones reaching under the door as it comes down and grabs his fedora. Like it's still a little bit squeaking by.
Now,
but
Sony was going to back the other half, correct? Is that what you said?
No. That was my speculation.
Oh, okay.
No. My speculation was that it's only going to be on Sony consoles, PS3 and PS4.
Okay.
Is the only thing, and Sony owns the IP, which is why I thought, well, Sony will be like, hey, we'll give you this much if you can raise this much, type of thing. That was not the case.
Okay, that's straight up funding.
Sony will do the distribution.
Okay.
Because it's going to be on their platforms, but that's it. The funding goes to that. The whole point of that being like that they had 18 days was like these guys have got to work on this. If it doesn't get funded at this point in time, then we can do it. And they had to get the okay from like Sony and everything else. And at that time, they got the okay to do it. They only had 18 days left to raise this money. So it was a very quick Kickstarter, but they made it. So go ahead.
I was to say that, like you said before, and I've seen it before. I mean, it doesn't take much time for them.
Some of these people can squeak them out in the last few hours. It's amazing how it happens. But RJ, what about you?
It's like an episode, or it's like UHF.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're trying to save the TV station,
and they had a telethon,
right? And somebody has to drink from the fire hose.
Yes, they do.
I played a little Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on my 360.
Really?
What?
Yeah. Some friends of mine. What?
What?
You'll be all right. Some friends of mine on Xbox Live get together and play that a lot. So I picked it up and started playing myself so I can get used to the controls and everything so I can play along with them. So I did that.
The integration began.
Go ahead and explain yourself on that one. Go ahead. Come on.
It's just my own exasperation, my own just like I don't know how to understand. I just don't know how to understand it. I don't know how to contextualize it. You're just like I'm playing Call of Duty on the Xbox, and I just don't.
You could have said Call of Duty on the PS3, and we'd have been like, "Really, you're playing Call of Duty?"
Wow,
but then you threw it on the Xbox, and we're like, "Whoa!"
What's the punchline?
Well,
the punchline is that he really did.
Well, that's what my friends are.
I know that's fine. Whatever. I mean, That's where my friends are has been the excuse for years for all of us.
But yeah, I did that a little bit to get used to it. But for the most part, my time was playing Dark Souls 2, working on my second character, my melee character, getting her stats up.
You know, you may have been very integral in getting me into Microsoft's E3 press conference. I sent an email to Major Nelson, and I said, "Hey, I need some help to get into there. I haven't gotten an invite, and I'd really like one. And I know you're really busy with stuff, but..." And then I said, "And by the way, thanks for helping us with our 300th episode. We really appreciated that. By the way, RJ has an Xbox now." So.
Oh, that did it.
That may have been like, oh, all right. So. But anyway, that's interesting. Again, I haven't been playing anything except for, like I said, Pinball Effects 2. God, did I play anything else? That's so sad that I haven't played anything else but that. I really should. Defense Grid 2, I did a couple of videos for that. I put in the smallest amount of time with Banner Saga, but I'm interested to get back into that because I did like it. The little bit that I played. It's doesn't fall under my type of gameplay.
Yeah.
Turn-based, whatever that is. What is that? Turn-based combat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to...
You take turns?
Yes, that's what I was trying to... I was like, what are we doing? Turn-based fighting, no, combat.
Some JRPG type stuff?
It's not JRPG, no. It's beautiful. I love the artwork in that thing. Okay.
What does that even mean? It's not a JRPG, it's beautiful, I love the artwork? What's wrong with you?
I don't know why that came to mind, because I like
JRPGs are very often incredibly beautiful.
Actually,
it's
right.
actually often one of the only things
that was what I was going to say. It was like I remember playing Final Fantasy on PS3 and was like, I really only want to play it till I get to each cutscene because that was the part that I really enjoyed about it.
If it can get you at least slightly out of your comfort zone and expose you to something that you don't often play.
Yeah.
Then yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm totally interested in it. Going to the phones now. I believe we have Rustin on the phone from Retro Game Planet. Rustin, you there?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, how's the tournament going?
It is going well. Actually hasn't started yet, but
it's 7:45, man.
Yeah, I know, but we're having fun. I introduced in the Tower Fall on PS4, and I made a mistake. So now nobody wants to stop playing that.
We should play that. I hear great things about it. We should get in on that.
Yeah, it is very good. But we'll probably gonna get geared up to get going here in just a minute. But great turnout. Just same as last week. Our week before last, everybody's having a good time. All that good stuff. Have a lot of cool games to check out as well. So that's what we what I call is a twofer. So that's what that is. So this week, you asked me last time I was on the air, anytime I got a cool game, like in or whatever, let y'all know about it.
Yeah.
Well, I got an amazing game in that I was so excited to add to my collection. Sorry, folks. Mega Man X3 complete. Woo! Nice. In the box. All that good stuff. So it's very beautiful.
What are you selling it for?
Mine. It's all mine.
Oh, it's yours. You're not selling it at all. You're keeping it.
I heard I listened to the radio ad the other week, and or the radio show, and the guy that's not as good as the guy that's not that good at Demon's Souls 2. I hate to admit that I forgot your name.
Yes, Dennis maybe.
Okay.
Was in here.
Okay, so
because he was playing Demon's Souls 2.
Oh, okay.
And he
there
wasn't.
Or Dark Souls 2.
Or Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, he was talking about a little wooden trove of treasures over there at the shop, and he was talking about Final Fantasy Advance 6 and saying that, oh man, that's awesome, and that's obviously awesome to me as well. That's why it's in there. But yeah, Mega Man X3 is staying in the case, so y'all can look at it. You can't touch it, or I'll tell you about it, how awesome it is. But yeah, it's mine. So, but we do have a lot of other, not as great games, and even better deals. So stick around, folks, because we are having a really good time, and we are doing a lot of things. Some things I don't know when we'll get going for them, but the ideas are going, and the biggest part about it is everybody's having a good time, and everybody keeps coming out. Like, the numbers keep getting bigger, so I guess something is going right. But yeah, I guess we're about to see who is the.
How many people are in the tournament so far?
There are.
I mean, is registration closed already? You guys stopped taking people?
It is. Registration's closed. We didn't actually have a buy-in. What we did was just show a receipt within the last 2 weeks of purchase at RGP of $10 or more, and that was your buy-in for the tournament.
Yeah. And
that's what it does, is it just, hey, hook us up. We're hooking y'all up with what we're trying to do. And we've got 36 at close. So we're going to have two.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 brackets, 2 games going on of 18, and we'll see how it goes. But everybody seems to, like I said, be confident in their abilities and having a good time. But there's actually been a lot of people talking smack. Kenneth, I don't know if he's listening right now, but I don't know what the delay is, but the station's actually playing in the shop, and I'm standing outside right now. That's why it's kind of quiet. But yeah, Kenneth. Just so you know, man, if your buddies are talking about that, you're probably not going to win because you're not very good. So they told me that when you weren't standing there. So, but you're hearing this now, and I apologize.
Are you going to be in this tournament again, like you were for Mario Kart?
If I was, it'd be better for everybody in it because I'm terrible at it.
Okay, I'm not good at fighting games whatsoever. I am a button masher till the end on that thing. So
maybe we could have a tournament with me and you.
That would be fine. In fact, when is your next tournament? You doing this again in another week and a half, 2 weeks, or something like that?
That's how we're going to break it down. It's going to be 2 every other week. We're going to have a tournament, and we're going to have that then. Thinking Street Fighter is going to be next. So I'm going to have to put some game that's not fighting on there. Anybody ever heard of Fusion Frenzy?
Yes.
Sumo.
I remember Fusion. Is that when they're in the? Is that when they're in the steel cage ball? Yeah,
that is it.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to having that. Ultimately, it looks like we might be doing a tower fall because, like I said, real people are into it, and that's a new game. It's for the PS4. It's an amazing game, but it's made so retro, old school. It's pretty much joust, and that's exactly what it is with arrows. But such a good game. And we'll sit there playing. We got about 4 people that play regularly, and we're all pretty good. Trent, he's a pretty good dude, but he's a little rough around his edges. Like if you chase him, if you get him down to the point, then he starts shooting arrows at the wall, which is fun to watch. So yeah, man. Like I said, we're doing it up. Tower Fall, Street Fighter, one of those we'll do next, but I'm not opposed to hooking it up on some NBA Jam, so we might be able to get it on there, Mr. Jeff.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a call and letting us know how the tournament's going and everything else. So really appreciate you guys being in town and supporting the show and that sort of stuff. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you again. We'll come see you next week sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I just want to say that, like, as I look here in the window at all these people, the realization on their faces that there's another a show that they can listen to about video games in their local area. It's mind-boggling, man. It's exciting. They're jumping. Here,
surprise!
Let's see if they holler when I walk in the door and see if you can hear that real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so that was kind of loud.
That was awesome.
They're listening. All right, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
I'm surprised no one cursed doing that one.
That is something you have to watch out when you hand a live mic or phone to anybody when you're, especially if it's over the air live. Yeah. Be careful of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
and I think he was mentioning about trash talking. Yeah, that's common in every.
Well, this is Smash Brothers we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that is Retro Game Planet for you local folks in Prattville. You can find Retro Game Planet right there off of Copsford Road in the shopping center where Bama Lanes and stuff is. You can find it over there. So definitely check it out if you're local and in the area. Head over there. Lots of good stuff. Mega Man X3 is not for sale, obviously, but you can look at it. But he's got a lot of other things that are for sale. Things that you haven't seen in a while, haven't played in a while. Had a copy of Mighty Bomb Jack for NES that it was a favorite of mine. But lots of good stuff. So Make sure you check that out. We've only got a few more minutes left, and I'm about to give out the last code there for Defense Grid 2 in the chat room. So you people in the chat room, get ready. Here it comes. There you go. And by the way, whoever got that, let us know in the chat room, whoever got the copy of Defense Grid 2. A few more minutes left. What are we going to be playing next week?
I think you know exactly what we're going to be playing next week.
I'm going to be looking it over. You've got a copy coming in for PS4 of Watch Dogs,
From
right?
the Gameplay, yeah. You've got a copy coming in
I've got a copy
for the
coming in.
consoles from Gamefly,
Yeah, PS4 and Xbox One.
current gen.
Yes,
You got your copy already on PC.
and I got a PC copy.
That's right. If we can somehow manage to maybe find a last gen copy at
Redbox, yeah.
Redbox or something, we could, I don't know, pointlessly compare them all. Yes, this one looks like garbage. Yes, this one looks pretty good.
Which one's the one that looks good?
Yeah.
You can have them all lined up. Which one's the one that looks good?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how to feel. I really don't want to
Man,
look
we
at
talked about this.
I don't really want to look at the old gen they got it out there. It's great if you don't have a current gen console and you're fine with the way, things look when they're really ugly.
Mhm.
Play that one. I don't know where to come down on it. I don't. It's in the last week there's been an enormous amount of video released about this game, either through leaks or pirated copies or released semi-efficiently or I think IGN did some coverage on Twitch, things like that. It just looks put a person in front of the game and nothing resembling any of the gameplay we've seen up to this point emerges during a gameplay sequence. And maybe they're all just, bless their hearts, maybe they're just trying not to spoil anything. But I don't think so. Every single one of them hops in a car, turns it into Saints Row or Grand Theft Auto. And I don't want that. I was so far from one at this point. The bad things we had to say about it 2 years ago, right? About the fear that it was just going to turn into an urban Assassin's Creed. At this point, I'm begging that it be an urban Assassin's Creed, because what it's actually turned into is some kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say too many bad things about it, but it's just, I have this feeling that it's a kind of low-rent GTA knockoff and not really something that's concerning itself with trying anything new or even moderately interesting.
Well, that was one of the things that we talked about was the sense that this has become. It didn't start out as something that seemed like a GTA game, but the more they revealed, the more they showed off, the more they showed us of it, it turned into like, oh great, so we're just getting GTA Chicago.
Yeah.
Is essentially what we're getting. And even watching the Conan O'Brien review thing, the little Clueless Gamer segment or whatever, that's exactly what he turned it into.
Yeah.
Watching the videos that I've seen of people highlighting certain things you can do in it, I think Polygon showed a car chase thing, and I was like, well, you're doing exactly that. You're just doing GTA.
Worse. Yeah, and as the chat room has pointed out, comment after comment, yes, if it actually managed to turn itself into Saints Row, it would be brilliant.
Right.
Because Saints Row was fun.
Yeah, it would.
Saints Row understood what it was. Saints Row never tried to take itself seriously. GTA succeeded by taking itself just seriously enough. Each one sort of forged their own, if not their own path, then their own lane in that particular path. This game just doesn't seem to understand what it is or needs to be. I don't know. We're going to have a look. We're going to get involved. We're going to hopefully you'll at least jump in on the console.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on
yeah.
so we can do some of the...
I want to do some multiplayer with it, yeah.
Do a little bit of the multiplayer to see what that's about. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
Nathan, anything for you? Are you on the Watch Dogs train? What are you?
No, I'll you guys will let me know.
I'll let you know.
I'll be finishing Stick of the Truth this weekend. That's what.
Oh yeah, South Park game.
yeah.
Okay, I was thinking stick it to the man, and then I was like, no. Stick.
I already beat that. That's a great game.
It is actually a
Highly
surprisingly good
recommend
game.
that
I downloaded it for PS4 because it's on PS
no,
Plus.
It's all right.
If you have 6 hours to kill, play that game because it's worth it. Stick it to the man. That is.
Yeah. RJ, anything for you?
I need to play that demo for Child of Light that I downloaded a while ago.
A demo.
Mhm.
Fancy that.
Hey, what do you know?
Other than that, more fighting games and Dark Souls 2.
And I'll be doing Watch Dogs. Of course, I'll be doing Silver Ball Sundays again as well for next Sunday. So you can tune into that. I don't know what table I'm going to play, but you're welcome to throw suggestions. That's actually one of the longest things that takes place at the beginning of the show is figuring out which table I'm going to play. So feel free to throw some suggestions our way as far as what tables you'd like me to see play on Silver Ball Sundays. But anyway, that is going to do it for us, folks. We appreciate you tuning into us, and we appreciate everybody joining us in the chat room and listening on the stream and on the radio. Thanks to everybody who grabs us each week from iTunes or however you get our show for later use. We really appreciate it. Head over to ingamechat.net. You can join us on Twitter, Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group you can join up with over there and play games with us and other listeners. Congratulations to Uliet, who won the Defense Grid 2 code. That will do it for us. Everybody have a great week. We will see you next Saturday. Here's music from Kingdom Hearts 2.